I smell the orchard before I see it, that late summer perfume of bruised apples fermenting in the grass, as if the land itself has been drinking all afternoon and only now lifts its head to greet me. A copper-gold sun hangs low behind the ridge, spilling a last wash of light through the branches. I stand among trees that once fed a county, trees my father planted with promises, trees that outlived his promises and then outlived him. My boots sink into soft earth, and every step stirs the ghosts of unpaid debts. They rise around me like mist, whispering the names of neighbors he cheated, farmhands he dismissed without wages, families who lost insurance when his orchard co-op collapsed. 10 years, I tell myself, 10 years since clay covered his coffin, yet the ground still groans with everything he tried to hide beneath it. I was 16 when the sheriff slapped the foreclosure notice on our door. 16 when mother's hair turned from chestnut to muted charcoal in one season. 16 when Olivia pressed her face into my shoulder and asked whether people could drown on dry land. Tonight I feel that boy again at the edge of my ribcage, kicking to be heard, reminding me why I came back. I twist an apple from a limb, polish it against my flannel sleeve, and bite. The flesh tastes half sweet, half iron. Somewhere deeper in the orchard a wind chime rattles, though I know we never hung chimes here. Maybe it is only a broken tin tag, clanging where the harvest crew once counted rows. Gravel crunches behind me. Olivia's pickup eases to a stop, engine ticking as it cools. She climbs out, cheeks flushed from the drive, denim jacket too thin for the descending chill. Her hair, lighter than mother's ever was, slips from its tie and catches the dying sun like wheat. Please tell me we're not here to salt the roots, she says. I roll the apple across my palm. Would you believe me if I said no? Her breath shows in the air. I'd try. I flip the apple toward her. She fumbles it, nearly drops, then bites without wiping away the dust. That tiny defiance warms me more than the sunset. Olivia always believed in something gentler than justice, something closer to mercy. She drove 200 miles to meet me even after I refused to say why on the phone. Now she stands ankle-deep in weeds, hoping I will draw a line we do not need to cross. If there's another way, she whispers, I want to find it. There was another way, I answer. He buried it. Her shoulders sag. We walk together through the rows, leaves brushing our sleeves. Every third or fourth tree bows from neglect, limbs knotted around half-grown apples that will never see a market crate. Yet even in ruin the orchard hums with life, cicadas droning, swifts slicing the sky, soil breathing beneath cracked mulch. Olivia brushes a hand across lichen on a trunk. I remember her as a child counting rings in fresh stumps while father lectured about stewardship. Stewardship, he said, meant bending nature before it broke you first. Tonight stewardship means deciding whether rotten roots can still feed new fruit, or whether they must burn. The packing shed slouches near the southern fence, roof sagging like a shrug. Mother forbade us to step inside after father's death, claiming it would collapse. I jimmied the padlock last week anyway, unable to wait. Now I lead Olivia across warped floorboards that creak like ribs. Dust roils, catching beams from her flashlight. Shelves droop under rusted shears, coil-bound inventories, crates of desiccated apple skins. Rodents have left cherry pit-sized droppings along the walls. I kick aside one toppled crate, then another, until the third reveals a metal cash box the size of a bread pan. The keyhole yawns open where I pried it with a chisel on my first scouting trip. Inside lies father's ledger, ink faded at the edges, pages swollen from damp. Every unpaid wage, every stolen pension, I say, tapping the cover. Right here. Olivia kneels beside me, fingertips tracing the initials embossed on the spine, his initials, fashioned in gold foil that still gleams. She opens to the first page, eyes widening at neat columns of numbers spelled out in his looping hand. 40,000 deferred from an equipment loan, 12,000 skimmed from a harvest festival fund, 11 families left without severance after he dissolved the packing crew. When she reaches the page with Mayor Thompson's signature, a slow exhale leaves her lungs. "You want to leak it?" she asks. "Leak?" I shake my head. "I want the county to choke on his legacy." She closes the book as though it might bite. "If you set this loose, people will demand blood, his or ours." "Our blood's already spent," I say. "We just never sent the invoice." The drive to the fairgrounds takes less than 15 minutes, a ribbon of dust curling behind the truck. Night presses against the windshield, starlight thin under cloud cover. I park behind the exhibition hall where caged chicks peep under heat lamps and the air smells of kettle corn. Olivia lingers by the passenger door, indecision tightening her jaw. She wears the expression Mother used when counting coins at the grocery checkout, praying the total would stretch to milk. "It's not too late," she says. "We could mail the ledger to the state auditor anonymously." "Anonymous justice is no justice," I reply. The hall bustles with carnival lights, banners boasting prize pumpkins and quilt raffles. I maneuver through the crowd, ledger tucked inside my jacket, until I reach a mock-up of the mayor's new downtown redevelopment, miniature storefronts, a plastic mailbox for suggestions. I slip forged eviction notices inside, each bearing the mayor's name and father's defunct Orchard Corporation as lien holder. The weight of that irony almost buckles my knees. "Evening, son," a voice drawls behind me. Mayor Thompson himself, 10 as a harvest moon, tips his hat as though we are best friends. He has not aged a day in my memory. Still sports the same navy vest, the same grin that fooled us when he partnered with father to leverage property for a cold storage facility that never materialized. When he strolls past, I glimpse Olivia lurking near the lemonade stand, eyes pleading. I nod once, telling her the point of no return has slipped behind us like a spent horizon. Fog drips through the headlights on our way home. Neither of us speaks until the porch light of Mother's house appears ahead, small and steady. Inside, the kitchen smells of boiled tea and rosemary. Mother sits at the table, wrists thin as silvered branches, knitting a scarf she will never wear because she gives everything away. She lifts her gaze and sees the ledger in my hand. "I wondered how long before you dug that up," she says. "Long enough to make sure," I answer. She nods, knotting her yarn with deliberate calm. "Revenge will not raise our bank balance." "No," I admit, "but it will raise the dead parts of me." Olivia stands by the sink, arms crossed. "By noon the town will know its beloved mayor owns stolen land," I continue. "The orchard reverts to us." Mother threads her needle, eyes on the wool. "Land is a heavy inheritance. Be certain you can carry it." Sleep deserts me before dawn, so I pace the hallway, rehearsing headlines: local hero exposed, legacy orchard reclaimed, justice served chilled. Yet somewhere beyond ambition lies a tremor of dread. What if the county ignores the evidence, or worse, absolves itself by scapegoating a dead man? My plan relies on collective shame. Shame is a slippery tether. At breakfast the radio crackles with farm reports. Olivia butters toast, gaze 1,000 miles distant. Then the host clears his throat and says, "Anonymous documents allege a decade of fraud connecting Mayor Silas Thompson with the late orchard magnate Stephen Hale. If verified, deeds for more than 50 acres could be void." Static masks the next sentence, but we hear enough. Olivia's knife drops to the plate, clattering. I drive toward town anyway, ledger on the seat. The air feels thinner, as though each lungful steals from someone else's supply. The courthouse square teems with reporters by mid-morning. Microphones blossom like weeds around the mayor's office door. I park 2 blocks away, kill the engine, and rest my forehead against the steering wheel. When I close my eyes, I see Father in a straw hat, leaning over me with a grafting knife, teaching me to splice a sapling. His voice rumbles, "If you cut too deep, the branch will bleed out." I open my eyes and find my palms damp. Late afternoon dyes the sky lavender when Olivia calls, breathless. "Meet me at the gate," she says. Her tone quivers between triumph and terror. The orchard lane lies shadowed under maples. I arrive first, leaning against a fence post carved with our initials decades earlier. Sirens echo, closing. Then the mayor's sedan appears, police cruisers trailing. He steps out sweating, jacket wrinkled, eyes furious yet desperate. Olivia stands between us, raising a document. "You negotiated my childhood away," I tell him. His jaw works, words failing. Olivia pushes forward the deed, my father's orchard title now rescinded and reassigned. Her signature gleams at the bottom, neat and decisive. I blink, realizing she visited the county clerk during the maelstrom, filed emergency affidavits while I brooded in the truck. She has done in 1 hour what my scheme needed a week to accomplish. The mayor's knees seem to fold. Officers guide him back to a cruiser as camera flashes strobe. Olivia watches, tears catching light though her face remains stern. Night seals the orchard in velvet. We drag fallen limbs into a pile and strike a match. Dry twigs snap like bone, flames licking higher, sparks spiraling. Ash drifts across the rows, settling on leaves, on hair, on memory. Olivia stands close enough that I hear her heartbeat maybe, or maybe it is my own. "We own it again," she says. "Now what?" Smoke fills my mouth, tasting of ancient fruit and charred regret. I think of seedlings gasping for space beneath these elder trees. I think of mother's scarf unraveling in her lap. I think of townsfolk who will wake tomorrow uncertain whether to cheer or curse our name. Revenge, I learn, is not a feast but a fast. It empties the belly first so the heart can howl. Tomorrow, I say, we learn how to prune without killing the limb. She nods, though she may not understand. Perhaps neither of us does. The fire crackles, consuming splinters of past seasons. Beyond the blaze, the orchard waits, vines coiled around promise. Ash settles on the soil like gray snow, sealing our footprints, fertilizing nothing and everything at once. Morning arrives in hush. The orchard breathes cold and clean, years younger overnight. Smoke lingers, but the sky stretches blue beyond expectation. I walk row by row, palm on bark, noting which trunks still pulse with life. Some are hollowed by rot, some only feign weakness. Each must be judged but not condemned. At the east edge, a sapling barely taller than my waist pushes new leaves through dew. I kneel, thumb the fragile stem, and for the first time since Father's funeral, I imagine something other than ruin growing here. Behind me, Olivia calls my name. She carries 2 shovels and a bag of nursery stakes. Her smile is shy, maybe frightened, but it is real. I grip the spade handle, feeling its weight, and understand what the soil has been trying to teach: justice is a seed. Plant it angry and it sprouts thorns, plant it patient and it may bear fruit sweeter than revenge. We sink the first shovel together. The county may contest the deed. Lawsuits may blossom like blight. Reporters may circle and boards of supervisors may stall. None of that changes the rhythm of root and branch. The orchard will not wait for the courts, it speaks its verdict in blossom and frost. If we wish to inherit, we must earn the right by pruning, grafting, hauling brush, nursing saplings through drought. Mother greets us with thermoses of coffee before noon. She sets them on a overturned crate, surveys the rows, and sighs. Your father would never recognize this place, she murmurs. Maybe that's good, Olivia replies. Mother rests a hand on my shoulder. Guard your hearts, children. Land remembers love more than anger. Hours later, while bundling limbs for the chipper, I glance toward the ridge. A black plume wavers where the mayor's sawmill sits, smoke mixing with cloud. Sirens wail again, distant. Consequences echo louder than intentions. I wonder which embers belong to me. That night I cannot sleep. I walk the perimeter fence, moonlight painting the grass silver. A barn owl sweeps low, talons clutching some small secret. I pause at the spot where father once built a tree swing for Olivia. The rope snapped the day he forgot to check it. She fell, broke her wrist, and he cursed at her tears. I run fingers over the scarred branch. Bark curls away easily, revealing pale wood beneath. I consider cutting it off, but instead I leave it, a living reminder that neglect wounds deeper than knives. Days bleed into weeks as we work. Olivia balances ledgers, converting father's crimes into budget lines for seed, fertilizer, labor. Mother bakes pies for crews we cannot yet hire, faith in crust form. I file paperwork for organic certification, hoping higher margins will offset legal fees. We do not speak of the mayor's arraignment or the county petitions. The orchard demands enough words already. Each evening after supper I walk alone to the burn pile, now cold and gray, and sift ash between my fingers. I tell myself I am checking for embers, but really I listen for voices, father's, the mayor's, my own younger version still clamoring for retribution. The ash feels surprisingly soft, like silt from a slow river. It coats my skin, refuses to rinse fully, finds its way under nails, into creases of knuckle and wrist, until I carry a smear of it everywhere. Revenge has stained me in ways I could wash only with time. One late afternoon, clouds bruise purple over the hills. Lightning stalks the horizon. Olivia insists on finishing one more row of trellising before the downpour. I hold the ladder while she threads wire. Thunder growls closer. She pauses, hair whipping, and says, "If father were here, would he thank us or curse us?" "I don't know," I answer honest. "He might sue us." She laughs, startling, bright. The laugh tumbles into rain. Water drums the leaves, soaks our shirts, slicks the wire until it squeals under her grip. She descends, mud splashing calves, and we run for the shed, sliding the door just as rain sheets sideways. Inside, I light a single bulb. She leans against a crate, panting. "We cannot outrun all storms," she says. "Maybe we don't need to." I pick up the ledger from a shelf where I stashed it weeks earlier. Pages warp further each humid day, ink bleeding veins. I set it on the workbench. Olivia watches as I thumb through to the final entry, one sentence of father's scrawl dated 3 months before his collapse: "If truth ripens, harvest soon or lose it all." I tear the page free, then the next, feeding them into a rusted stove until flames lick the grate. The heat blooms, drying our shirts. Olivia does not stop me. She only asks, "Feel better?" No, I close the stove door. But lighter. When the fire dies, I gather the remaining ashes in a tin and carry them outside. Rain slows to mist. I scatter the tin's contents over a patch of soil Olivia flagged for a nursery bed. Ash whirls, settles, disappears. Maybe nothing good grows from the record of sin, yet even charcoal can amend earth. I hope, at least, it will. Weeks stretch toward frost. The orchard shows small signs of forgiveness. Buds fatten, sap flows, leaves toughen against sun scorch. We hire 2 local teenagers to help weed. Word in town shifts from scandal to curiosity. Tourists on leaf-peeping drives stop at the gate, snapping photos of weather-beaten signs that still read Hale Brothers Orchards, a lie now that only one brother remains buried in marketing brochures. I plan to rebrand, but there are bigger tasks first. One crisp dawn, as I load crates onto a trailer, a county deputy pulls up, engine idling. He hands me an envelope thicker than any lawsuit. My heartbeat misfires. Olivia appears from the barn, brows knitting as she reads my face. The deputy tips his hat and drives off. I tear the seal, official notice of pending state investigation into cooperative fraud, demanding testimony, threatening liens, scheduling hearings. Our reprieve is over. That night Olivia and I sit on the farmhouse porch, mugs steaming. Mother has gone to bed early, exhausted. Crickets trill. The moon stains the orchard silver. We could settle, Olivia says. Pay a fine, sign the land to a trust, walk away. And leave it to strangers again? Better than watching it seized. I sip coffee gone lukewarm. We knew pushback would come. She laces her fingers. I fear we traded one tyrant for another, private greed for government appetite. I set the mug down. Maybe stewardship was never about ownership. Maybe it's about staying, however the borders shift. She nods slowly. Then we stay. The deck creaks beneath us. An owl hoots. Somewhere beyond the gate cars rumble, visitors or officials or ghosts. I cannot tell which. Winter's first snow arrives early, blanketing rows in hush. Branches sag under powder. Olivia strings burlap around saplings. I fix a heater in the pump house. Our breath clouds all day. At dusk, as we haul water to a row of black Oxford trees, headlights wash across the drifts. A sedan idles, windows fogged. The door opens, Mayor Thompson steps out, coat collar up, cuffs visible where his wrists were once handcuffed. Charges pending, bail posted, reputation shredded. He watches us, we watch him. I came to apologize, he says, voice brittle. Wind lifts fine snow into swirling vortexes. My fingers clench around a bucket handle. Olivia places her hand over mine. The mayor's breath plumes white. I helped your father bury his debts, he continues. I convinced myself the orchard was already dying, so why not feed on the carcass? Now the county wants my house, my license, my wife's inheritance. Silence stretches. Snowflakes settle on his eyebrows. Part of me thrills at his downfall, another part remembers delivering apples to his office as a boy, how he tilted the bag and thanked me. Olivia speaks first. Are you asking forgiveness or favors? Both, he admits. The investigation widens. If you testify that I coerced Stephen, they may spare you liens. She glances at me. An ember of fury flickers, but she says, truth is truth. He nods, eyes watering from cold. I will send my lawyer. He turns to leave. I call after him, what would you do with forgiveness if you found it? He pauses. Plant something my children can harvest. When his taillights vanish, Olivia asks, will you testify? I scoop snow, watch it melt in my palm. Truth without revenge, I say, feels stranger than fiction. Spring cracks open like a robin's egg. Hearings loom, but sap rises unstoppable. We prune, graft, mulch, spray. Journalists visit, filming the comeback story. Some hail us as guardians, others probe for new scandal. I show them the grafted rows, the youth crew learning to scythe, the compost heap steaming. I do not show them the tremor in my gut each time the phone rings with courthouse extensions. Hearing day arrives in early May. The courthouse smells of varnish and nerves. I raise my hand, swear oath, recount ledgers, eviction notices, forged signatures, whispered deals. The mayor listens, jaw set, accepting. When his turn comes, he corroborates. The board asks about my break-in at the fairgrounds, the forged notices I slipped into his mailbox display. I admit it, heart hammering. Olivia's gaze never leaves me. The chamber murmurs. The chairperson clears his throat and says consequences will follow, but today they rule on land title. My stomach flips as he reads the decision. The orchard stays in our name, subject to environmental compliance and restitution fund for unpaid workers, financed by crop profits for 5 seasons. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. Olivia squeezes my elbow, whispers, "Seed, remember?" I nod. Revenge has sprouted obligations thicker than any root. Summer returns. Fruit swells heavy, branches bending. Pickers fill bins at dawn. The town's first harvest festival in nearly a decade replaces old memories with new. Children bob for apples in galvanized tubs. Elderly men sip cider and debate which variety tastes most like the past. Mother sits in a rocker near the gate, knitting scarves for anyone who lacks one, smiles soft as cotton. Late one evening, after the crowd drifts away, I stand beneath the packing shed eaves, watching Olivia tally receipts at a folding table. Lamps cast her shadow long across concrete. The ledger's ashes fertilize the nursery now, feeding seedlings that will bear in 4 years. I step forward, throat tight. I thought revenge would fill me, I confess. It only cleared space. She closes the ledger and smiles. Spaces make room for roots. A breeze stirs, carrying scent of ripe gala and wet straw. I consider the path behind us, ashes, sirens, testimonies, tears. I consider the path ahead, frost, lawsuits, graft failure, climate swings. No map shows both terrain and weather. We will walk anyway. A shooting star streaks over the ridge, brief and bright. Olivia laughs, making a wish. I do not ask what. I lift my eyes to the dark orchard spreading toward horizon, rows neat as hymns, and wonder whether a wish is simply the first draft of a plan. Somewhere a leaf loosens, flutters, lands at my feet. I pick it up, feel its veins, and slip it into my pocket, for memory, yes, but also as reminder that nothing leaves the tree without changing the ground. We lock the shed and head toward the farmhouse, silhouettes stretching ahead of us, merging, separating, merging again. The night swallows our footsteps, and the orchard, ancient witness, keeps its counsel. Tomorrow the sun will rise, and every branch will ask its silent question, will you prune me to grow, or leave me to wither? I do not know the whole answer, only that the choice is ours now, and that choice, like any harvest, comes due again and again. And so the orchard waits, and we wait within it, hearts like seeds, hard yet full of green, listening for whatever might root in the ashes we once called revenge.